We are delivering today the iPad, the new iMac, the iPod, iPhoto, MacBook Air, iTunes. It's a revolutionary mobile.
It looked like Jobs was washed up and was a total has-been.
Or enjoyed as much success.
Steve, I love you!
And Steve came back and began what I think is the greatest turnaround in the history of corporate America.
In 2025, the children of Steve Jobs stand at the edge of one of the most powerful legacies the modern world has ever seen. For decades, Apple has shaped culture, revolutionized technology, and rewritten the rules of innovation. But behind the company's iconic glow lies the human story, one quieter, more personal, and far more complicated than the world usually sees. The children of Steve Jobs have grown into adults navigating fame, privacy, ambition, and the impossible expectations attached to their last name. Now, the world is finally beginning to ask, who will carry the legacy forward? And perhaps more importantly, do they even want to?
The big question to ask was, did he have to be so mean and cruel?
I did try to talk to him once at a party, and he was super rude to me.
Steve was not a very nice guy.
Today, we dive deep into the lives of Lisa, Reed, Erin, and Eve Jobs, each one raised in the shadow of an empire. Each one forging a path far different from what the world expected. Their journeys aren't defined by iPhones or MacBooks, but by identity, conflict, resilience, and the search for a life that belongs to them, not the world. Lisa Brennan-Jobs. The story begins with the child who spent much of her early life on the outside of the empire.
To go back and spend time with my young parents. I mean, they were younger than I am now, so it was nice to do that.
That would one day define her legacy. Lisa Brennan-Jobs, now 47. Her existence traces back to one of the most turbulent chapters in Steve Jobs' youth, long before Apple became a multi-billion-dollar phenomenon, long before the world saw him as a visionary inventor who reshaped modern life. Back then, Steve was just a 23-year-old man wrestling with a storm of ambition, insecurity, identity, and direction. During this confusing time, he and Chrisanne Brennan, also 23, artistic, spontaneous, passionate, and equally unsure about her place in the world, fell into a relationship that flickered on and off like a faulty light. It was a relationship shaped by affection and frustration, connection and distance, all held together by the fragile threads of young adulthood. When Chrisanne discovered she was pregnant, neither she nor Steve fully grasped what was coming. They were kids standing at the edge of a responsibility they didn't feel prepared for. And when Lisa was born in 1978, Steve wasn't just unprepared, he refused to accept reality entirely. Lisa writes in her acclaimed memoir, Small Fry, that her father walked into the hospital days after her birth, looked at her, and coldly said, "It's not my kid." Those words echoed through her childhood, carving deep wounds that would take decades to understand. Steve even took his denial a step further. When the question of paternity reached the courts, he told the judge he was infertile, claiming he could not physically father children. It was a lie that revealed not just fear, but a profound inability to face the emotional consequences of his choices. For Lisa, the earliest chapter of her life was shaped by two opposing forces: the absence of her father and the unstoppable strength of her mother. While Steve poured himself into Apple, fighting to prove to the world and maybe to himself that he was destined for greatness, Chrisanne was fighting for something much simpler: survival. She worked multiple jobs, relied on public assistance when she had no other choice, and did everything she could to keep a roof over their heads. Lisa grew up watching her mother stretch every dollar and improvise through hardship. Yet through all of it, Chrisanne remained emotionally steady, refusing to let bitterness take root. Lisa has often said that her mother's resilience became the foundation on which she built her own life. Everything changed in 1980. A court-ordered DNA test formally confirmed that Steve Jobs was Lisa's father. Legally, the denial was over. Emotionally, it was far more complicated. Steve paid child support, covered medical costs, and acknowledged his responsibility on paper, but real intimacy didn't follow. Their early meetings were unpredictable. Some days he was charismatic, curious, even gentle. Other days he was distant or dismissive, a man unsure of how to be a father while simultaneously building a company that was consuming every part of his identity. Lisa often felt as though she was suspended between two worlds. In one world, her father was a rising icon of Silicon Valley, a man whose influence was expanding across the globe. In the other, he was a stranger who appeared and disappeared from her life without warning. The contradiction shaped her in ways she would only understand later as an adult. But even through the pain and uncertainty, she pushed forward. As she grew older, she found her own identity not in technology or innovation, but in creativity. Writing became her anchor, offering clarity when life felt chaotic. She excelled in school, driven by a hunger to build something of her own, something that wasn't tied to the shadow of Apple or the complexities of her father. Her hard work led her to Harvard University, where she immersed herself in literature, art, and storytelling. She spent time studying abroad at King's College London, expanding her perspective and sharpening her voice. After graduating in 2000, she moved to Manhattan and began carving out a career as a writer. Her essays appeared in respected publications such as Vogue, the Massachusetts Review, and the Oprah magazine. Her writing was intimate yet sharp, reflective yet confident. It carried a tone that was unmistakably hers, not inherited but earned. In her personal life, Lisa built the kind of stability she didn't have growing up. She married Bill, a software designer, and together they are raising a son. Their home life is grounded, quiet, and full of the emotional steadiness she once longed for as a child. Still, Lisa's relationship with Steve never fit neatly into a box. Over the years, there were moments of closeness, times when he tried, in his own imperfect way, to bridge the distance he had created. There were also moments of conflict, misunderstanding, and emotional missteps that resurfaced old wounds. It was a relationship, defined not by consistency, but by complexity. Yet, in the final chapter of Steve's life, Lisa was present. She visited him during his last days, shared conversations with him, and gave him the comfort of connection he had struggled to sustain throughout his life. After his passing, Erin Jobs and her children, Reed, Erin, and Eve, spoke about how meaningful Lisa's presence had been to Steve in those final moments. Despite disagreements and differences in memory, they acknowledged that he loved Lisa deeply, even if he didn't always know how to express it. When Lisa published Small Fry in 2018, it reopened many old conversations. Her portrayal of Steve, brilliant yet emotionally distant, loving yet flawed, was raw and unfiltered. Erin and the other Jobs family members released a statement saying that Lisa's depiction didn't match their experiences, but they emphasized that Steve regretted the mistakes he made in his younger years and cared for Lisa deeply. Their differing memories highlighted the core truth of Lisa's journey. Her story is uniquely her own, shaped by shadows and light, by absence and presence, by hurt and reconciliation. Today, Lisa Brennan-Jobs remains the most emotionally complex figure among Steve Jobs' children. Her life is not defined by Apple's legacy, but by the courage to speak truthfully about her own. Her story is one of survival, forgiveness, identity, and self-expression. And in the end, she found something even more powerful than her father's acknowledgement. She found her own voice, and she made sure the world heard it. Reed Jobs. When Steve Jobs married Erin Powell in 1991, a new chapter began, one dramatically different from anything that had come before. The turbulence of Apple's earliest years, the emotional storms of Jobs' 20s, and the instability that shaped his relationship with his eldest daughter Lisa were now behind him. In their place arrived a period of stability, structure, and intentional family life. And at the center of this new beginning was their first child together, Reed Jobs, born on September 22, 1991. Reed entered a world that had already been shaped, disrupted, and redesigned by his father. By this point, Steve Jobs was no longer the young entrepreneur fighting for his place in Silicon Valley. He had returned to Apple, reinvented himself, and was evolving into the visionary who would introduce products that would revolutionize global culture. But crucially, he was also committed to building a healthy, deeply rooted family life, something he had struggled with during Lisa's early years. With Lorene, he found not only a loving partner, but also a stabilizing force, someone who brought balance, compassion, and grounded clarity into their home. Lorene Powell Jobs, a Stanford-educated businesswoman and the founder of Emerson Collective, carried values that would deeply influence her children. She emphasized education, responsibility, empathy, and the idea that privilege must be used to uplift others. Steve, on the other hand, infused their household with creativity, discipline, precision, and a relentless insistence on excellence. Together, they created a family environment where intellectual exploration wasn't just encouraged, it was a way of life. Growing up in this world, Reed quickly became known for his curiosity and sharp intellect. Those around him noticed that he possessed his father's intensity, focus, and analytical mind, but expressed in ways that were distinctly his own. He was thoughtful rather than impulsive, patient rather than restless, and far more private than the public image surrounding the Jobs name. While Steve Jobs transformed entire industries, Reed seemed more fascinated by understanding how the world worked, politically, socially, historically, rather than by building gadgets that would reshape it. As a student, Reed excelled academically, and his interests gradually moved toward history, diplomacy, and global affairs. When he later enrolled at Stanford University, he chose to major in history and international security, fields that might seem far removed from coding, product design, or consumer electronics. But for Reed, this wasn't an act of rebellion. It wasn't an attempt to escape his father's world. Instead, it was a sign of how he intended to redefine what it meant to be a Jobs. He graduated with honors in 2014 and completed a master's degree the very next year. During this period, he also lived through one of the most difficult experiences of his life, the decline and eventual passing of his father in 2011. Watching Steve battle a rare form of pancreatic cancer left a lasting mark on Reed, shaping not only his emotional world, but the mission he would eventually choose for his career. This brings us to the turning point in Reed's story, one that revealed how deeply the experience of losing his father influenced the path he would walk. In 2015, Reed joined Emerson Collective as the Managing Director of Health and Cancer Initiatives. This role did not place him in the tech spotlight, nor did it position him as the next product visionary at Apple. Instead, it placed him at the center of something equally meaningful, the future of cancer research and treatment. At Emerson Collective, Reed adopted a mission rooted in both scientific ambition and human compassion. Rather than focusing on products, profits, or digital revolutions, he focused on people, their health, their suffering, and their hope for a better tomorrow. His work allowed him to collaborate with researchers, biotech companies, and medical innovators, all aiming to accelerate breakthroughs that could save lives. Emerson Collective, unlike traditional organizations, had the flexibility to fund research philanthropically while simultaneously making strategic investments, giving it a unique power to support early-stage projects that needed both resources and vision. Reed described the mission simply and powerfully. We want to help develop new therapeutic options for cancer patients. Behind those words was a personal story, one shaped by grief, love, and the desire to prevent other families from experiencing the pain that his own endured. His approach to the work became a blend of his parents' influences, the precision and ambition he inherited from Steve, and the empathy, patience, and humanitarian drive he inherited from Lorene. Over the years, Reed has established himself as someone who prefers impact over attention. Despite being the son of one of the most famous entrepreneurs in history, he maintains a deeply private life, rarely giving interviews and avoiding public spectacle. Those close to him say he embodies humility, something he likely learned from his mother, and carries the Jobs legacy quietly, choosing depth over charisma and substance over spectacle. Yet, even without seeking the spotlight, Reed has become a bridge between two worlds, the bold technological vision his father embodied and the social responsibility his mother champions. Instead of designing the next iPhone, he is helping pave the way for life-saving therapies. Instead of leading product launches, he is guiding partnerships that may transform modern medicine. Instead of building a commercial empire, he is helping build a future where cancer patients have more hope. In many ways, Reed represents a different kind of innovation, one measured not in devices or revenue, but in human lives changed. He is proof that legacies can evolve, expand, and take new forms. While Steve Jobs altered the world through technology, Reed is striving to alter it through healing. And as he continues to elevate scientific research and support medical breakthroughs, he carries forward a legacy that is deeply meaningful, deeply personal, and deeply impactful. Today, Reed Jobs stands as a thoughtful, driven, and quietly influential figure. His journey shows that the next generation of the Jobs family is not simply walking in the footsteps of the past, they are carving entirely new paths. And Reed's path, shaped by intelligence, compassion, and purpose, may one day prove just as transformative as the innovations that defined his father's era. Erin Siena Jobs. Born in 1995, Erin Siena Jobs is perhaps the most private and enigmatic of all the Jobs children. Unlike her older siblings, she has carefully chosen a life away from the relentless glare of public attention. She maintains no social media presence, rarely appears in public, and has consistently avoided the spotlight that naturally follows a name as globally recognized as Jobs. In a family where innovation, public achievement, and media presence are constant forces, Erin has carved out a space defined by discretion, introspection, and emotional depth. Even as a child, Erin displayed a remarkable sensitivity and thoughtfulness. Observers noted her quiet intelligence and her emotional maturity, traits that set her apart from many children her age. She did not seek attention or validation in overt ways. Rather, she watched, listened, and processed the world around her with care. Those who knew her well describe a child who approached life with empathy and perspective, often absorbing the emotional atmosphere of her surroundings before acting or speaking. It was as if Erin understood from an early age the complexity of the world she had been born into, a world shaped by her father's towering legacy and her mother's values of discipline, responsibility, and social consciousness. Walter Isaacson's biography of Steve Jobs offered a rare insight into Erin's character, noting that she possessed emotional sensitivity even beyond her father's famously intense nature. Steve Jobs was known for his demanding personality, his relentless pursuit of perfection, and his sometimes abrasive interactions with colleagues, friends, and family. Erin, by contrast, carried a gentler but equally profound sense of awareness. Isaacson's observations suggest that her emotional intelligence was not simply a reaction to her father's personality, but a defining feature of her own identity. In a family often defined by achievement, innovation, and public scrutiny, Erin's strength lay in her quiet, steady presence, a calm within the intensity of the Jobs household. Erin herself has demonstrated a remarkable understanding of her father's dual role as both parent and visionary. On more than one occasion, she expressed an awareness of the pressures and demands that shaped his life, acknowledging the difficulty of balancing familial obligations with the stewardship of a company that influenced the lives of millions. One of her reflections on her father captures this nuanced perspective. He does his best to be both a father and the CEO of Apple. Sometimes I wish I had more of his attention, but I know the work he's doing is very important. I think it's really cool. I don't really need more attention. These words reveal not only maturity beyond her years, but a profound emotional intelligence. Rather than harboring resentment for the times when her father's work took precedence, Erin exhibited understanding, patience, and a quiet pride in the significance of his accomplishments. She recognized that his brilliance came with costs and was able to navigate that reality with grace, maintaining her own sense of self-worth and stability despite the complexities of her family life. Erin's life continues to be largely private, yet glimpses from her siblings reveal a deeply loyal and supportive presence within the family. Eve Jobs, her younger sister, has occasionally shared public reflections that underscore Erin's importance in their lives. On Erin's 26th birthday, Eve posted a heartfelt message writing, "To my lifelong best friend, I love you, I love you, I love you. Such expressions hint at Erin's role as a stabilizing force among the Jobs siblings. While her sisters and brother have navigated public-facing careers and ventures, Erin's influence seems rooted in emotional consistency, reliability, and a calming presence. Within the family, she represents a grounding force, a reminder that not all legacies are measured by public recognition or material achievement. Some legacies, she demonstrates, are measured in empathy, understanding, and the ability to nurture relationships that endure the pressures of fame and expectation. In many ways, Erin embodies a quieter, subtler form of leadership. Her life illustrates the power of emotional intelligence, the strength of discretion, and the importance of self-possession. In a family world often marked by high-profile success and public attention, she has created a life defined not by visibility, but by depth. She is not seeking accolades, nor is she driven by the need to distinguish herself publicly. Instead, her impact is personal and relational, shaping the family's internal cohesion and contributing to a sense of balance while crafting a life that is undeniably her own. Her approach to success and public life also reflects a broader understanding of balance. While her career in equestrian sports demands total commitment, she manages to cultivate interests in fashion and media without letting either realm consume her entirely. Eve has managed the pressures associated with being the youngest Jobs child with remarkable poise, carving out spaces where she can excel without feeling constrained by expectations. She recognizes the weight of the family name, but treats it as a foundation rather than a limitation, a springboard for her own accomplishments and passions. Eve's story also offers a reflection on the evolution of the Jobs family itself. She represents the newest generation, one that has the opportunity to honor her father's groundbreaking legacy while pursuing her own ambitions in a globalized, media-savvy world. Her life illustrates how the values Steve Jobs cultivated, vision, discipline, and uncompromising commitment to one's goals, can be adapted to fields far removed from technology, whether it be equestrian sports, fashion, or other endeavors that demand creativity, precision, and resilience. In many ways, Eve Jobs has become the most publicly recognized and celebrated of her siblings, yet she maintains a humility and sense of perspective that allows her to thrive without succumbing to celebrity pressures. Her achievements in sport, her rising presence in fashion, and her ability to navigate personal and professional life with grace make her a compelling figure in her own right. She honors the Jobs legacy while forging her path, showing that ambition and individuality can coexist, and that success can be measured not just by public recognition, but by personal fulfillment, discipline, and authenticity. Ultimately, Eve's life reflects balance between ambition and privacy, discipline and creativity, legacy and individuality. She exemplifies how the youngest member of a famous family can both honor her roots and build a future defined by her own passions and choices. Her story, marked by determination, talent, and poise, serves as a vivid reminder that legacies are not only inherited, they are actively shaped, lived, and expanded with every generation. So, who inherits the Apple legacy? The truth is powerful. None of the Jobs children are trying to become the next Steve Jobs. They are becoming themselves. Lisa writes, Reed heals, Erin reflects, Eve creates. The legacy of Steve Jobs is not a company title, a board seat, or a product launch. It is curiosity. It is excellence. It is intensity paired with imagination. And in that sense, each of his children carries a piece of him, just in profoundly different ways. What do you think about Steve Jobs' children? Share your thoughts in the comments. If you enjoyed this deep dive, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more powerful stories. Thank you for watching.